Hey guys, Houston from Miller Precision here. Today we're going to be talking about how to do an install of your grip module from us. We're going to be talking about the Springfield Prodigy. We're going to do a full disassembly of this pistol. We're going to do an unboxing and then a full install of one of our billet grip modules on this pistol. So let's get to it. Alright guys, so jumping right into it, we've got our Springfield Prodigy here. This is just a standard 4 1/4 inch model. These grip modules are going to fit any of the Springfield Prodigy product line. We're going to start out by going over a few of the tools we're going to need to do this. So we've got a small screwdriver, small flathead screwdriver. We've got two 50 thousandths Allen keys for the front trigger guard screws. You can use these or you can use the L-shaped style Allen wrenches. Either will work fine. I just prefer the screwdriver style. A couple more sizes of Allen keys for the rear screws. A punch or a small screwdriver for driving out the mainspring housing pin right here. Also for depressing the mainspring cap as we assemble that later on. We're going to need a small hammer. You can use a ball peen, a rubber mallet, a Lixie hammer like this. We may or may not need a very small fine file. Hopefully we don't. We shouldn't, as these are all designed to drop right on and accept certain triggers. So we shouldn't need this, but in case we do, we have it. We're also going to probably need a needle nose pliers for installing the the mag release spring into the grip module. So the first thing we're going to do is get started is breaking down this Springfield Prodigy. So the first thing we're going to do is very obviously make sure there's no magazine in the gun. We're going to clear the gun, make sure there's no round in the chamber, make sure we're safe. Now we're going to take the slide off this thing. So we're going to bring it back, line up the half moon with the slide stop. We're going to push it from the back, get it started, and then we'll use a punch or a screwdriver or whatever you got, push that slide stop out of the pistol entirely. And this slide is going to come right off the frame then. We don't need the slide, we're not doing anything with the slide. These two pieces can get pushed aside. Everything we're doing involves the frame and the grip module. So the first thing I like to do from here is remove the mainspring housing. So what we're going to do is hold our hammer, pull the trigger, and lightly let the hammer forward all the way. Then we're going to get our punch and our mallet. We're going to get this pin started out and then knock it the rest of the way out. There we go. Set the pin aside, pull our punch out, and we're going to slide the mainspring housing all the way out of the pistol. While we're here, we can go ahead and disassemble the mainspring housing. As you can see, there's some pins in here and there's obviously a spring. Alright, so with some help, we're going to take and push this little pin right out of the back of the mainspring housing. We're going to depress it quick. Go ahead and push it out. As you can see, it falls right out. Mainspring housing easily unassembled. After that, let's set this stuff aside here. We're going to pull the frame back into the picture here, and we're going to go ahead and remove the safeties and the beaver tail. You can probably get the spring, the sear spring, out of here now at this point as well. So let's pull the hammer back, bring the safeties to a half-cocked position, and wiggle on them a little bit, and they'll start to come loose on the one side right here. What I like to do is get my little tiny screwdriver up under here, just ever so easily kind of pry it out of there. You gotta be careful. Sometimes the detent for the safety will go flying across the room, so be prepared for that. Typically I'll point the gun down so that it falls out the back, hits the table, keep track of it. So let's set that aside. Let's flip the gun over here. We're going to rotate this safe side of the safety out and pick it right up out of the gun. Now our grip safety is completely free. We can remove that at this point. Let's set that aside. And then from here, the rest really is just the grip module. So what we're going to do is grab our Allen keys. We're going to loosen these up here. Just crack them free. And we're going to go after the front screw. It's a little more difficult. Almost need two hands sometimes. So we're going to get it started on this side. Get it started on this side. We're going to try and, whoops. and try and crack these three. Sometimes it's a bear. Alright, so I wasn't able to get it with my fancy little screwdriver ones. Sometimes they're a real pain. I did Loctite these because I've been shooting this pistol. So used a regular L-shaped Allen key. Was able to crack one side of it free, no problem. Spin it right out of here quick. Set it aside, and then what I'll do a lot of times is take my smaller Allen key and kind of just nudge it out of there, just ever so carefully, and it will pop right out. We do a unique two-piece design with our screws. Instead of a three-piece design with two little Chinese screws, we're using in-house manufactured female and male size screws, which makes it very easy for install. Those will come with the pistol grip modules if you choose to add that on our site. So now we have that trigger guard screw out, we are going to continue with pulling these bushings out. So just spin these out. That screw comes out. There's a bushing inside of here. You can walk this around in there and kind of push it out. It'll fall out, the magazine will. When you flip the pistol over, be careful to put your fingers over top of the sear and hammer pin so that the sear and hammer pin do not fall out while you're working on this side of the pistol. At this point now, the grip module is free to be removed from the frame. So on these pistols, we quickly take the magazine release out of here. The trigger bow is very unique. It has a different angle back here. It's a longer bow. The offset on the trigger pad from the bow is different than anybody else's. So it causes a bunch of issues. So on these Prodigies specifically, we suggest using a red dirt trigger. They're staccato specific, or an Atlas trigger, or even a staccato factory trigger. We are coming out with our own trigger in the next couple of months. We'll be posting videos on that, explaining those, and they will fit our grips perfectly as well. But for some reason, Springfield went a different route on their trigger shape and location for the trigger pad, and so it causes issues when compared to staccato pistols, Atlas pistols, and a lot of other aftermarket pistols. So this trigger it can be made to fit, but I suggest against it. So if you want to put a red dirt in there or an Atlas for now, or wait till one of our triggers comes out, that would be the ideal move. So let's set this whole thing aside because we don't need it anymore. So now that we have our pistol completely disassembled, we're going to go ahead and do an unboxing of our pistol grip. They're going to come in a box just like this. When you open this up, there's going to be a layer of foam on top here. Go ahead and remove that, discard it. You're going to have a patch, some stickers in here typically. If you ordered a trigger or a mag well, they're going to be hidden in this pocket here. The grip itself comes with the mainspring housing slid into it. It's going to be in its own custom cut foam packaging here. And a beaver tail, if you chose to get one, will also come in here. We offer, for the standard grip module, which is what this one is, we offer no beaver tail added at all, so you can use your existing grip safety from your Prodigy if you wish. Or if you want to delete your grip safety, you can order a pinned beaver tail from us, which will come in the box. And then in the corner here, we have a small bag of small parts. If you order the grip bushing set, you'll have the additional 2 screws and the front 2 barrel screws for your trigger guard. We will always include the bushings, the pin for the mainspring housing, the magazine release spring, and the mag release itself. So let's go ahead and get started on assembling this grip module to the Prodigy pistol. Go ahead and open this up, just kind of dump it out on the table. Our mag release, our grip bushings, our screws, our trigger guard screws, and our mainspring housing pin. If you ordered a mag well, you'll have a mag well. If you ordered the beaver tail, you'll have the beaver tail. And main spring housing and the grip. So, like I mentioned before, we have an issue with the Prodigy triggers and how they fit. So what I'm going to demonstrate is using a red dirt staccato trigger. So this is going to drop right in to our frame, or our grip I mean. And see, it drops right in. It's a beautiful fit. A little bit of wiggle room for the bow. Trigger pad's pretty sturdy, not much there, and it fits great. So we're going to go ahead and continue to assemble using this trigger. So the first thing that we're going to do on our grip module is drop the trigger in. So once the trigger is in, you'll see there is a very tiny hole down inside here. This functions in the same manner as the Glock does. So we have a spring that's going to drop down inside that little hole, and on one side of this spring there's a small burr from the manufacturing process. One side is smooth. We're going to put the smooth side down into here. You might want to use a needle nose pliers for this. You might want to get it with your fingers. I've done it a few times, so I've got it figured out. So drop it down in there, and then we're going to take a punch or a screwdriver or something flat and just push it down in there. So as you can see, it's fully seated. We're going to take our mag release. Now this is an ambidextrous, patent pending mag release. We can go right hand or left hand. If you're left-handed, you're going to push the mag release in from the left side of the gun. If you're right-handed, you're going to push the mag release in from the right side of the gun. So on the right side, we're going to go right-handed here. We're going to push it in. We're going to rotate it down and kind of go across and get over top of that spring and kind of turn and push it in. And you'll see the spring is now behind the mag release. We're going to push the mag release all the way through. Now you see the spring is sitting right in front of the mag release. So in order to click this in, all we're going to do is bend the spring till it clicks in and engages in one of these notches, right or left-handed. Now we have a functioning magazine release and our trigger is retained. So with that assembled, we can set that aside. We can grab our frame, making sure our hammer, our sear and disconnect are still inside the frame. We're going to kind of lean them back and push on the disconnect, make sure that these pieces are back as far as they can go. And when we assemble and slide on the grip module, we're going to make sure the trigger bow is pushed forward and that it goes up and behind, or up in front of, you could say, the sear and the disconnector. So the disconnector is behind the trigger bow and so is the sear. That's very important. So once that's there, what I'll typically do is grab one of these bushings, put it on the inside of the pistol here, like so. Keep a finger on it. Put one of the screws in there, get it lined up. And I won't tighten these at all. I'll actually leave them loose. The reason for that is when we do the front trigger guard screw, it's kind of a little more difficult to line up that smaller hole. So leaving this loose will help aid getting that through. We're going to put the other bushing in quick on this side of the pistol. Remember to cover our sear and hammer pin and retain our bushing. Assemble the screw, leave it loose, flip the pistol back over, and what I'll do a lot of times is I'll use the female side of the screw for the front of the trigger guard here, and I'll start it in here. It's kind of difficult because it's right up underneath the frame. Sometimes it helps to use an Allen wrench to get it started, and it'll fall right in. You push that side in there. So flipping it over, again trying to make sure we retain what we can. Cover it with my hand, flip it over, put this side of the screw in, and just get it started. It's spinning on the other side on me. It's giving me a little bit of a hard time here. So once it's through like that, we can put our Allen wrench on the other side. Twist these together until they're snug. If you want to, you can put some Loctite on these. These do tend to vibrate loose, so I would advise putting some low strength Loctite on those and then snugging them. Don't go crazy because you'll end up stripping them out if you ever have to pull this grip module off here again to service your pistol. So then we'll go ahead and snug these side bushings up here. You can also put Loctite on these as well if you wish. Make sure our hammer's up, hammer strut's down. We're gonna go ahead and do our sear spring now. So we actually want to take the hammer strut and flip it out of the way here. And the way this goes in here is the sear spring is gonna lay in from the back, and it's gonna push on the sear and the back of the trigger bow and the disconnector right here. So once that's in there, we're gonna just kind of push on it with our fingers, and we will assemble the mainspring housing into the grip. First, I forgot a step. We need to assemble the mainspring housing itself. So we're going to grab the pieces we had pulled out of the existing mainspring housing of the pistol. And you may or may not want a hand for this. I would suggest getting some help for this, as depressing this and putting the retaining pin in by yourself is very difficult. So I'm going to go grab an extra hand to help us put this pin in quick. Alright, so we're got an extra hand now. What we're going to do is depress this all the way down, and it's kind of difficult, so be careful. Once you get it down in there all the way, have somebody help you put that pin in quick. Awesome, perfect. Thank you, Colin. So now our mainspring housing is assembled. So what we can do is grab our pistol again, make sure our sear spring is contacting the parts where they should be, as mentioned before, and then we're going to carefully slide the mainspring housing in part way, and it's going to put pressure on the sear spring, and then also in turn put pressure on the sear, the disconnector, and the trigger bow. So you'll be able to see your trigger is now functional at this point. So we're going to swing the the hammer strut back down, and we're going to push the mainspring housing up just a little further, and kind of, I like to dangle it around in there until it finds its home. And you can see it's fully pushed up on the bottom now. Now at this point, we can decide whether we're going to put the functional grip safety back inside the pistol, or if we're going to go with the pin version that we offer on our site as an add-on. We're going to go ahead and put the functional back in it from the Prodigy. So we're going to drop this back down just a hair. We're going to pop the grip safety in. We're going to flip the pistol over and put the left, or the right hand side rather, part of the safety back in, and we're going to rotate it back into the frame, just like so. Now the grip safety is retained and sort of functional. So we're going to push it all the way in, get the hammer strut to hang where it needs to hang, and push the mainspring housing back up into place. So now that we're there, this is where we can install the mainspring housing pin. Now, when we're at this point, we can install a mag well as well. So if you ordered a mag well, it'll simply slide on the front and push on the back here. And then your pin is going to go through. You're going to have a longer pin, and the pin's going to go right through here. But on this one, we're going to go ahead and leave it without a mag well. So we're going to just put the pin, line the pin up in here. There's a rounded end and an end with a spot drilled hole on it. The rounded end is going to go first. That helps it find its way home and lead its way through. So we're going to just lightly tap on this, and it will go through. And right there, see it split the difference nice. Looks good. Found its home. Grip safety is functional. We can now pull our hammer back. Hammer retains. We're good to go. So we're going to put in the other side of our safety. But first, we have to make sure we remember our D10 that went flying across the room on us. So So put that in, make sure the spring's in there, everything's functional. We're going to start the safety in, and you're going to see the safety is over top of the detent. We're going to have to take something small. You can use a butter knife, you can use a screwdriver like I am, whatever you have around the house, to depress this and start the safety going down into the frame. So you want to do this in between safety and in between fire on these pistols, and then you want to line the right-handed side, the ambi side, up with the left-handed side and push them together, and they will almost press together, and then there you go. Functional safety, good to go. So at this point, your grip module is installed. We can turn around and take a magazine now if we want to as well. Test to make sure an empty magazine is retained and pops into place. And then we can put the slide back on the pistol and finish it. So to put the slide back on the pistol, we've got the barrel link. We're going to make sure the barrel link is down. You got the full diameter shown. We're going to slide the frame and the slide back together. We're going to pull our slide stop out. We're going to push on the slide just a little bit, push down on the slide stop at the same time, and it's going to drop in there. I like to have the slide stop come in a little low so you can push on the round part of the slide stop here on the detent and get it to kind of click in, just like so. And then we'll bring the pistol back to line up our half moon and shove the slide stop the rest of the way in. And there you have it. Make sure the pistol is empty. Dry fire if we like. We're good to go. Functional safety. Trigger works. We now have installed our Miller Precision billet grip module. Thanks guys for watching.